Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are pleased to have another exciting edition of the HR Learning Mentorship Series. And today we have an erudite speaker who I'll be introducing just in a bit, Omolara Adeogo. She will be taking us on optimizing performance at the workplace. Optimizing performance at the workplace. Please do me a favor, quick one, just reach out to 5 people who need to be on this call right now so that they can listen and learn. All right, permit me to just quickly and briefly introduce our speaker for today, who has graciously availed us of her talent, knowledge, and voluntarily she's sharing her experience with us. She started her career with Donquesta Consulting, and later she moved on to Airtel, where she performed various roles meritoriously. Then she worked with Kantar Limited as a project manager. She also worked with Recruit Consulting Limited, where she was an associate consultant for learning and development with the same organization. In the last 3 years, she has been the lead coach and trainer with the Boss Management Hub. We are so privileged to have her with us today. By way of education, she is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management by professional affiliation. She also, just a minute, she is also an alumni of the Lagos State University, where she bagged a degree in chemistry science. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. Permit me to hand over full control to our facilitator, our trainer, our coach for the day, as she takes us to the next level. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Yemi. Thank you so much for the privilege to share on this platform. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Despite the fact that today is a Friday, TGIF is going on. People are busy, having fun time. Some may be in traffic, you may be in traffic, you may be commuting from work back home. I'm glad that you were able to make this session. So with that in mind, that today is Friday and a lot of us are looking forward to weekends, whether you're going to work during the weekends or you just want to Netflix and chill. However it is, I'm mindful of that, and I promise that the session today will be engaging. What I'm going to need your help for is engagement. I want you to share with me. That's why we're here today. We're here so you can learn. We can also learn and share on how we can optimize our performance at the workplace. And that's all my life is about as a trainer and as a coach. So if at any point in time you have questions, there are times the trainer will be talking and that question is boiling in your mind, it's fine. Just type in the comment section, just put it there. When it's time, I'll just take a view and I will address your questions. Okay. All right. So today, our focus is on how to optimize our performance at the workplace. Just a minute. Okay, I will not waste time with the introduction. Mr. Olu Yemi has done that. Today, I just want to share with you how you can identify gaps in your competencies, how you can improve your performance, whether it's your individual performance, whether it's your team performance, which of course will have a positive impact on the overall organizational performance and success. So when we say optimized performance at work, what are we looking at? What are we even trying to say? We're saying that how can we carry our task at the workplace with maximum efficiency? When we say efficiency, we're looking at how can we do the work how can we do our roles? How can we do our work with minimum effort? We're producing whatever it is that your role is about. How can you do it with minimum effort, minimum time, and of course, minimum cost? How can you do that work with improved speed of execution? How can you modify the way you work in a way that it's better than what it used to be? For example, if you used to spend 2 hours on your Excel sheet, grappling with pivot tables, with reports after reports to present to the board or to the team or to management, how can you maximize, how can you improve on 2 hours to become an hour, on an hour to become 30 minutes? So optimized work performance is simply about you improving on your efficiency, on your productivity. With productivity, we're talking about output and input. What we get, our output is what we get, our input is what we put into it. Of course, when you put effort into the work you do, you're interested in the output being very encouraging, one that you can say, yeah, this is great, as an individual, as a team member, and then as an organization. Every organization is out to be productive. Every organization wants to put ₦1 million in a business and get 5 million or 10 million or more. So when we're talking about optimized work performance, we're talking about how we can do all this, how we can improve our performance at the workplace as employees, how we can do our work better. All right. So I will not be the only one talking here. So I would like you to please share with me. So when I want you to answer this question, because it's possible for you to say, Lara, I'm okay. I'm doing my work. Even my boss knows, and I've been getting a lot of positive reviews, positive feedbacks on my work, on the work that I do, on my role. In fact, I bagged an award maybe late last year, and I'm expecting another award. So how can I tell that I really need to optimize my performance? My first question for you is that, can you do that work better? Is there a way, is there another way that that job can be done, that task can be optimized, can be modified? You know how it is with our iPhones. Yesterday was iPhone 5. Today it's iPhone 14. Why? Because of optimization. So can you tell me, can you answer the following questions to tell if you need optimized performance? For example, do you make mistakes often on a certain task? You can let me know, just share with me on the comment section. In your organization, are there bottlenecks that gives you headache? In your team, are there some operational way of work that crimp your style or affect your delivery or affect your efficiency? Does it take you more time to complete a given task? Like I was sharing the other time, you have a document that needs to be presented. It's taking you about maybe 5 hours, and it's so bothersome. It's so worrying for you. And you're thinking, how can I know I can do, I'm sure that there's a better way to do this task. I'm sure that I can, if I gain more skills, or if I gain more knowledge, I think I can do this better in maybe 2 hours. I should be able to do this thing in 2 hours. Well, unfortunately, I don't. I'm trying to see if I can gain access to the chat, if I can see the chat area to see if I'm getting anything there. Yeah, okay, no, okay, I see now. All right, if you have, go ahead and share in the comment section, please. If you have experienced anything like this, or you're experiencing anything like this. For time's sake, I'll just go on. Please go ahead and share. So if you're able to say yes to any of these questions, whether for you as a person, as an individual, as an employee, as a manager, as a team lead, or about your team, or about the organization itself, it means that there are opportunities for optimized performance. That's what it means. Okay, I was checking the chat area to see if anybody shared. All right, so I'll just go on for time's sake. All right. I start with this quote that says, peak performance begins with your taking complete responsibility for your life and everything that happens to you. So you need a level of self-awareness to say, this way of work needs to improve. This operation, this way with this process needs to be optimized. We can't continue operating this way. An example that comes to my mind was a time somewhere, I once worked in an organization, and our finance process there was so much of bottlenecks that it now became a norm that every manager who needed money will have to, you have to use your money first and then get the money later from finance. So what that meant was that if you sent out a requisition, it was approved, you submitted to finance, it won't get back to you. You won't get the money when you need it. You're going to get that money after that job is done, after that project is done, whatever it is, it's going to come in after you need it. Now, the impact this had on the organization was that after a while, almost everyone having to do with cash were using their personal funds to fund company projects. Of course, there's a disadvantage to it because there are times some documents, some receipts will be lost, some employees may need to fabricate receipts. At times they've forgotten the amount, they may just put an amount there to get their monies back. So whether the amount is lower than the amount they should receive in the first place, or it's higher than the amount they should receive in the first place, nobody knows. In fact, I remember that when I was being hired for the role, when I got that job and I started the job and I started complaining to my line head, say, Ma, this is what I've observed. Do you know what my line head told me? My line head said, Lara, don't you know that that was part of why I considered you? I know that I consider that you have money that you can get to fund this role. It was that bad. It was that bad. That process needed to be optimized. And until we sat down and said, this cannot continue this way, we need to do better, it just continued. So for any optimization at the workplace, it needs a sense of ownership. There needs to be, whether it's personal, you need to be self-aware, you need to take responsibility, you need to take ownership. So whether you're a supervisor, you're an officer, you're a team lead, you're a manager managing teams, or you're reporting to management, peak performance begins with responsibility, self-responsibility, ownership, an assessment of where you are and where you want to be, which takes me to the next slide, talking about the man in the mirror. So if we want to improve work performance, then you need to self-evaluate. What am I doing right? What can I do better? How can I improve my work performance? You need to identify the gaps. Where are the areas? Where are the processes? What are the processes that needs to be better modified to give us a better output, to give us improved productivity, increased productivity, improved efficiency in our way of work? And it begins with you. It's easy for us to point fingers, the company, the team. It starts with you, the officer, you, the manager, you, the team lead, you, the supervisor, the man in the mirror. So there's something I've experienced where people say, Lara, I've had about 20 years experience on this role. I know everything about this role. Your work experience, your year's work experience is not enough when we're talking about optimizing your work performance. You may be on that role for 10 years or 13 years or be in that organization, or you're well experienced. It's not enough when we're talking about optimizing your performance at the workplace. Optimizing your performance is about results, it's about outcome. It's about how you do it better from time to time. We're talking about you increasing your capacity, you outgrowing your roles, your designation, you improving on yourself. As a team lead, you building trust within your team. All right. So we start first with you, the man in the mirror. You, the man in the mirror. I know you're leading teams, you're leading people, and there's so much on your shoulder. But if we're to have this conversation or this learning about improved performance at the workplace, then it starts with you. I remember being a manager, and my assistant at the time would carry bags of cash to the bank. He was so fulfilled. He was gaining fulfillment. You know that fulfillment when someone feels happy that is carrying ₦1 million, 500,000 naira in his knapsack to. He was so glad. He was so happy. Don't worry, Lara, I'll take it to bank. And at that time, I was like, why are you taking cash to the bank? What if you get robbed? They said, no, Lara, don't worry. The Holy Spirit will protect me. Until I educated him and we did that evaluation. This cannot work. How can this process be better of you taking, sending money to people, to vendors, of you getting money? How can it be better? You can't continue this way. This needs to be better in this team. He did not even think of transfers. And at that time, you could transfer money. So it's not about your years of experience, how knowledgeable you are in the sector and the work you do. Question is, can you do it better? Your objectives that you started working on, can you do it better? Your operations and processes, can they be done better? I hope I'm making sense. I hope you're learning something. If you're learning something, let me see your comments in the chat area. Okay. So there's a case study that I'd like to share with you, and it's the story of Great Britain cycling team. So Great Britain cycling team were at some point in time dubbed a failure of a team. The only medal they had was a gold medal they won in about like 1908 at the Olympics, and they were not able to repeat that feat for like over 100 years. Their performance was so bad that a top bicycle manufacturer refused to sell bikes to them. Why? Because they were afraid, this manufacturer was afraid that if other professionals saw this failure, in quote, of a team riding their gears, they could withdraw their contract and not buy bikes with them. And as such, it will impact on their sales negatively. Until in 2003, when a coach or performance director named Dave Brailsford was hired. And what Dave did was he brought this principle of aggregation of marginal gains. What this simply means is that you look at every part of your work. For example, in case of the cyclers, of course, if you're a cycler, what you're doing is riding bicycles to win different tournaments and all. So what Dave did, or what he calls the principle of aggregation, is to break down everything that goes into riding a bike, from the seat to the tires to the brake to the suit to the helmet, everything, to how the bicycles were kept, to how they were maintained, every aspect, everything about the bicycle. After breaking these different things down, to look at the little parts that can be improved. So I want you to look at the work you do. I want you to look at how you work. The many parts of your work, which of those parts can be improved? It could just be one. It could just be one. It could be two. As you're listening to me, Which part of your operations, which part of what you do, which part of your work, break down your work into different parts. Which part do you think needs to be improved? In my own case at the time, I was handling money, I was handling people, I was handling clients, I was relating with clients. And if you ask me to break it down, I was handling material resources, the incentives, I was handling vendors, I was handling clients. One part that was key for me was the process, finance process. It was something that was beyond me. You know, it took more than my role. I had to get approval from my head, from my team lead at the time to move some things forward. But my point is, break down all the things that you're doing and tell me in the comment section, one part that you think needs to improve on your role. It could be with your team. Please share with me. Share with me. Thank you, Sandra Adu. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bola Joko. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to share with me. Share with me, please. Go ahead and share with me the areas of your work that you think just a little improvement. That needs improvement. It could be something about it that needs to improve. So I'll go back to my story. So what David did was to break down everything about cycling, everything about a bike and the rider, and look at how to improve, how to adjust, even if for a little bit, a part of it. For instance, what he did was to redesign the bike seats in such a way that the riders could ride more comfortable. Another thing he did was to review different massage gels to test them and to see the ones that worked better for each of the riders. Even to the kind of pillows and mattresses that the riders should sleep on, so they could have nice sleep, they could wake up and be strong and be alive and be, reinvigorated. To the fabrics of the suits they wore, so they could determine the best one, the one that suits each of the riders. To where the bikes were kept, were painted in white, so that any dirt or anything could be easily tracked and resolved. To putting alcohol on the tires of the bicycles for firmer grips. Now it's easy for us to say, hey, now wow, all these little things. All those marginal gains from this seemingly little parts, when they work together, when aggregated, will give a positive or improved or optimized result. And that was what happened in the case of this coach. I'm seeing some comments in the comments section. Okay, Uchena, you say communication and decision-making. That's great. Are areas that may need some adjustments. Aisha, I hear you. You said Excel skills. Yeah, great. I'm glad that you're able to even know what it is. Sandra, you say designing and designing a more effective performance appraisal and reward system, how to make your employees feel more engaged. Ayola, you say relationship management and decision-making. Great, thank you very much for sharing. Thank you very much for sharing. So every part of the way you work, every part, you could start from one part, focus on that part, don't rush yourself. So for Sandra, if yours is to design a performance management system or strategy that works for your organization, I know you have others. Tendencies are that you could have about 5, even if in some cases a lot more, but focus on one. Break down that performance management, break it down, address it till you get results, and then move on to other things. Okay. So the results of the of this strategy that this man did was that in 5 years, this team, the British cycling team that was known for underperformance, won 60% of the Olympic gold medals in Beijing. And even years later in London, they were setting Olympic records, world records, winning the Tour de France, which is like a big deal in cycling. Why? Because they've decided to break down the big, everything about cycling into smaller parts and focus on a little adjustments on each of these areas. So my question to you is, what small adjustments can you make on your role? What small adjustments can you make on how your team operates? So for me at the time, so I want you to share in the comment section, please. What small adjustments can you make on your role? What's small on that job, on that role, on that deliverable? What small adjustment? For you, the small adjustment may be, I remember somebody said something about communication. It may be reaching out to your external clients. It may be physically visiting your external clients beyond just calls. That itself could improve your relationship, help you to understand what your client wants, and help you to design an applicable product or something for your clients, targeted, customized, that meets or suits your client's need. So I'm asking, what small adjustments can you make on your role? It could be the team that you lead. What small adjustments can you make in how you operate in your process? It could be payment process. It could be the appraisal process. What small adjustment? So for Sandra, if you're relying on technology, beyond technology, what are you doing with the data as an HR manager? What are you doing with the data that you gather from your performance management process? The appraisal process, what are you doing? Are you treating the feedbacks properly? If you're tracking timing and absenteeism in your organization with technology, what are you doing with the data? Are you able to make a tiny adjustment of analyzing that data to realize that in the productions team are always coming late and leaving the company late? They leave the organization late, 9, 10, and they come in late as well. What impact is this having on their health? What impact is this having on the products they are working on? What impact is this having on the end clients, your customers out there? So it could be that small adjustment of delegating analysis of the data that you get to a member of your team to analyze and give you that report. Small adjustments, small adjustments. What small adjustments can you make? Okay, I'm getting some comments in the comments area. All right, Jesse says to get my organizational performance process right, designing HR analytics, getting management buy-in on reward system, how to get employee engaged. The small adjustments could be striking relationships, making intentional relationships with your line heads. Beyond you just bringing your bag to work, you bring your bag to work, you do your work, you carry your bag and you go away. It may mean making intentional relationship, intentional connection with the people you work with the team leads. As simple as coming in to your workplace and saying, good morning everyone, and you walk to your seat. As simple as that. As simple as visiting that department that you've never been to for about 2 years of your working in that organization. Small adjustments. So break your individual operations or your team operations into bits and think of how you can make tiny adjustments in different areas of your work, of or the process that you work with. Okay, so I'm going to share about optimizing performance at employee level, at team level, and then at organizational level. So as an employee, as an individual, whether you're an HR practitioner or you're whatever role that you're on, first level is to improve your self-awareness. One of the ways you can improve your self-awareness is, number one, you can improve your self-awareness through feedbacks. Each time people come for coaching, I tell them self-awareness can get you 10 years ahead. So self-awareness is you understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, and even understanding how to relate with other people. So one of the things I tell people, number one, you can improve your self-awareness through feedbacks from the people you work with. It could be your team member, your team lead, your colleague. It could be somebody, family. So get feedbacks from them. Let them tell you how areas of your strength, areas of your weakness, you will be surprised. Another way you can improve on your self-awareness is to do personality tests. Personality tests can really blow your mind. And there are a lot of personality tests that you can do. You can do DISC test, you can do the Jung's 16 personality test. There are so many. There's the Strength Finder test. All you need to do is Google. There are free versions and there are paid versions. In 2015, I did a personality test as a manager, and it was a total turnaround for me, because I did a personality test in the afternoon, and the result I got was something like, I'm going to paraphrase it for you. It was something like along the lines of, if you're coming to Lara as a subordinate, don't come with problems, come with problems as well as solutions. When you're speaking to Lara, talk fast, get it done. I had no idea that was the kind of manager that I was becoming. When I saw the personality test result, instantly as I was processing the result, I remembered something had happened in the morning. So a certain lady, let's call her Shaye. Shaye walks up to me and was talking to me about a deliverable, something I asked her to do. And she came with a lot of problems. I didn't even waste time. I just, Oga, please go and get it done. I'm not here for, I was just dismissive, total. I didn't even allow her to land. She didn't even get to Lara. Immediately she mentioned that issue, and the next word she said was a problem. And I was looking at her face. She didn't look like anything. She had any solution to offer. I just dismissed her. That happened in the morning. So let's say that happened in the morning. By afternoon, I did my personality test and got the result. And I told myself, Lara, I can do better as a manager. I do not want to be a manager that will consistently be dismissive of the people who work with her. I do not want to be a manager who the people who work with me cannot come to me and with confidence that they've made mistakes. So with that in mind, I became intentional. I walked back to Shai, apologized to her about the morning, that I shouldn't have dismissed her that way, and asked her what she wanted to talk to me about, what she was trying to say. By this time, I was now a lot more patient. I heard everything she had to say. Ladies and gentlemen, what Shai wanted to tell me was totally different from my perception, what I perceived she was going to say. So self-awareness is key. It's how you can be intentional. Look at me telling you the story, this 8 years old story. And it's been one that I've never forget. Unconsciously, I'm conscious about it. I'm conscious about how I treat people, even as a manager. The next thing as an employee is to identify gaps in your competencies. I saw someone online, was it JC or so, sharing about our Excel skills, how that needs to be improved. As simple as getting online, typing on YouTube, on Google, on YouTube, Excel 101. Online, on YouTube, you see different videos. You could start from the shortest one, 5 minutes, 25 seconds. Watch that. After a while, move on to 10 minutes and on and on and on. Before you know it, you are handling pivot tables. You're able to analyze the data. You're getting faster, and you improve your competences. You're more efficient. As simple as doing a 3,500 naira paid course, or even unpaid in some cases, you can improve your knowledge, improve your skills. Another is leveraging on the associations. For example, I'm happy that we have about 60 people in-house here. You're here for a purpose. You're here to learn. What you're doing is leveraging on associations, added your way by attending seminars, webinars, whatever it is. You're here, you heard about the topic, and you want to be here. You're here to learn how to do it better, how to do your work better. Another is being a lifelong learner. You mustn't get to a point, any height in your career where you think that you cannot learn. That will be disaster. It will be disastrous. So you must always ask yourself as an employee, how can I do this better? Yes, I know you won that award, but how can you do it better? Are there better ways? Can you leverage on technology to do this better? Beyond just technology, the results that technology gives you, are you able to process? Are you able to analyze? Are you able to decode the messages? Are you able to really use the results to solve problems? So optimizing your performance at an employee level, you need to ask yourself consistently, how can I do this better? How can I do my role better? And at a team level, whether you're a lead, you're a team lead, or you're a manager, it's important to set clear, smart objectives with your team. Gone were those days where you ask your team to go set their objectives for the year, whatever they like. No. There's an organizational objective funneling down to you, funneling down to your team members. It's important to have that objective, that conversation, so that your team members will know what exactly they should expect, how they should work, their approach to work, what the organization is looking at, the direction the organization is headed this year, at this time. And also, do not wait till appraisal period before you start giving feedbacks. It's important, whether giving or even receiving feedbacks. Do not be that employee, do not be that team lead that waits for appraisal period. I will deal with her. I will deal with him. Give on the spot, give, perhaps not on the spot, but, give periodic feedback to the members of your team. Push them forward. Be empathic. Do not give that impression that you want to kill them only with work and you're not interested in their growth. Also be growth focused for the members of your team. I remember a manager I worked with, and this manager would say stuff like, Lara, in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, my expectation is that you will take on this role that I am on. So you have work to do. So this manager will push me, push every member of his team. Even when you're like, I don't think this is what I really want to do. I don't think this team lead will let you know, I know that you have skills. These are your skills. This is what I've observed over the time. Give it a try, give it a shot. Go do that, get online, get on the company website, on the company learning management system, and look for this topic and come back. Let's have a conversation or present to your team members. So be that team lead that is always interested in the growth and development of his or her member. Give your team members the opportunity to bloom, and always speak out for your team when necessary. Of course, with facts and figures, with data. Another thing I'd like to share at this team level for optimizing performance is every team has their faces. There is that phase when all of you are together, the forming stage, there's the storming stage is what I want to talk about. And in every team, there will be times. So as a team lead, how you manage the storming phase is important. The storming phase can determine whether your team will move forward or will just plateau where it is. So it's important that you address it with a high level of intentionality. And even when your team is succeeding, it's important that you not be complacent, but keep setting the bar. And with team level optimization or performance at the workplace, you as a lead must consistently say, how can we do this work better? You must consistently ask your team member, how can you do your work better, being paid? How can I support you? What do you need? I understand that in the real sense, you may not be able to give them all that they need in some cases, but your team must have the trust that their team lead will support them to grow, will support them to work better and not otherwise. As I had a team lead, I worked with a team lead who would tell me, Lara, this is my expectation of you in the next 3 years. So start blooming. You have work to do, and push me. I also had one that really never cared. He never cared whether you grow or not. If you like, don't grow, whether, just that. Never helpful. So do not be that manager. Do not be that team lead. Do not be that supervisor. Do not be that manager. Okay. So, and of course, at the organizational level, okay, I'm seeing some questions here, okay, which I will address later. At the organizational level, it's important to build a trust focus, to have a trust, can I call it trust-centric culture? If the culture in the organization is one that there is no trust, what you'll be doing is driving your employees to do work. And at a point in time, they will do whatever they need to do to stay afloat. They'll do whatever they need to do to get them to, I don't want to call it the barest, it's probably not the barest minimum, but they'll do the average and not even be interested in optimal performance, as it were. There's something that makes staff say, you know what, where I am, I'm not getting a lot of money. I know the offer that this other company is giving me is a lot, but the culture here is safe. The culture here is one that allows me to thrive. So I'm going to stay here in this organization where I am going to thrive. I'm thriving actually, than go to this organization where there's much money and they're getting sick. So your employees, whether it's in your team, and that's why I said it starts from you, whether it's in you as an employee or your team lead or your supervisor, it starts from that team. What you do. So there are times you may need to also review your metrics, performance strategies, or metrics with which you're measuring performance. You need to know, what do we need to stop? What do we need to continue? What is working for us in this organization? What is no longer working? There are some policies that if you continue, it's going to affect the company, the organization negatively. There are some policies that we must continue. There are some that we need to revise. We need to review it and revise it. And then it's important that we also provide our employees with the tools and resources to work with. Growth-centric, trust-centric. All right. So as I get close to the close of the presentation, the other tips that I have to share are time accountability. Of course, as an organization, you want to ensure that the employees that work with you, they're present, they're delivering. They are not absent. You want to measure attendance, whether how you measure is via technology, performance management, whether it's via technology, whatever it is that you do. It's important that you're able to ask yourself what solutions, like I shared earlier. So if each of the roles in the organization have a time cost, how many time, what's the time cost on each of the projects that are being handled by each teams? What's the impact? What's the time cost? Are we really optimizing our time cost, or we are killing our projects with time? Are there jobs that need to be delegated? Do you have leads or heads of department that are not delegating, even by looking at the back end and seeing the amount of time costs imputed on the jobs they do? And then when you see these things, what are you doing about it? Whether you're an HR manager or you're a team lead, seeing this happen in your team. Encouraging coaching is also important. In-house coaching and mentorship initiative. Another is encouraging staff to go on leave. I know that at this time there's so much pressure, but we need to encourage our staff to go on leave. Recently, I saw some stories online about how somebody, I think it was a post I saw, somebody passed on, and before you know it, the same week, life has to move on. They're looking for the person's replacement because work has to go on. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, I've witnessed one that the replacement, the company started looking for this person's replacement, even right in this person's burial. Imagine a colleague passed and all of us went for the burial ceremony, and right there. So we need to be interested in the health of our staff. We need to be interested in our own health individually. As team leads, we need to be interested in the health of the team that work with us. So we need to have health conversations. We need to start looking at health initiatives beyond just saying, well, the HMO will take care of them. Beyond HMO, what conversations are we having? There are times we may need to recommend some of our team members to go for mental health counseling. Because optimization of our performance is not only about work, it's about being able to integrate our work and life. I don't call it work balance, I call it work integration. Because practically speaking, I don't think there's a balance, but there can be an integration. Okay. So I leave you with this quote. And this quote is saying that great performance is never luck. It takes a lot of focus, it takes a lot of heart, and it takes a lot of hard work. So today we've spoken about optimizing our performance. It takes a lot of intentionality, consistency, focus, heart. As a leader, you're busy focusing on yours, like, oh, I need to meet this, I need to meet this target, there are things I need to do. Meanwhile, you have a team that you're responsible for. It takes a lot of intentionality to groom others, to coach people, to be open to really mentor people, to be interested in people's growth, in your team growth and development, because it will eventually impact on you and impact on the organization. So with this, I close and welcome questions and answers. So I welcome questions. Questions, if you have questions for me. Okay, I'm seeing a question here. And it's from Ayola Koka. Ayola, you say, how do one gather the courage to speak to the top management on lingering issues without fidgeting? For example, talking to the chairman. Ayola, what's your role? I'm interested in your role. Is your role one that speaks with the chairman usually? Lingering issues, you're speaking with someone someone at the top, the chairman, you need facts and figures. You can't speak with just emotions of how something, you need facts and figures. Why are you speaking with the chairman? Do you have a line head that you can speak with? Do you have data to support it? Because sometimes what we need is to sit down, do a research on these lingering issues, put together data from our research, information, examples, and come up with a presentation, 5-page presentation. I remember there was a time on my role that there was a decision to slash the salaries of some staff, contract staff, sort of. I think it's okay to call them that way. And at that time, it wasn't the business decision. It was just a lead saying, you know what, these people don't have to earn this much. Now, those people, both contract staff, we had people who had masters, who already had families, and the amount of money we're paying them wasn't great. So now to slash this amount by 70% during the pandemic period was just like outrageous. It was easy to get carried away by emotions, but what I did was to sit down and look at the data. So how much have we been paying them over the past 12 months? What impact did this have on, what percentage are we paying out with our profit or with what's coming in? Then again, what is our competitors rather? What are they paying these people, their contract staff? So once I was able to do this document, I remember doing a call presentation for about 30 minutes on the reasons why we shouldn't slash this. The salary should not be slashed. Please mute your microphone. I'm getting an echo. Bolajuko, are you talking to me? I can hardly hear you. Okay.
No, right. No, that was a mistake.
All right, great. So I came up with this presentation, did a voice presentation. Eventually we did optimize it. We came to a point to say, okay, you know what, let's change how we pay them, but we still maintain, we look at how, eventually it was a win-win situation. So Ayola, my point is, number one, these lingering issues, what's your designation? Do you have to go directly to the chairman? Do you have someone else you could speak to beyond just going directly to the chairman? And then when you're speaking, do you have facts and figures? Are you able to sit down and see and show the business why the negative impact these issues are having on the organization? How much is the organization losing? Is the organization losing money? Is the organization losing face? These are the things that you want to know. So when you're having conversations with top management, you're not just telling them, it's not like gossip. Can you see? Chairman, do you know? Can you imagine? No, that's not what chairman. It's not that kind of, that's not the kind of conversation you want to be having with chairman. All right. Okay, so I see your comments. She is saying, thank you for speaking from the heart. Karen HR, thank you. Thank you very much. Blessing, you're saying exactly, we need to be intentional. Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much for this impacting lectures. Thank you very much. She is saying some organizations deliberately do not give job description or KRA in order to measure performance. So it's important. And I say to the people like Coach, if an organization does not have a job description, this is a red flag. There needs to be a job description. How do we know we're growing? What's the measure? How do we know we're growing or not? How do we know we're improving? How do I know that this role I'm doing what is best or not? So if you're on this call and you're on that job and there's no job description, what I'm going to advise you to do is to create one for yourself. So you create a job description for yourself and have a conversation with your line head around this job description. Then have your line head, when your line head has okayed this job description, you may need to revise. You go back, you revise that document. Once it's revised, get him to append or to approve. Pam, and you're good, job description. So if the HR is not going to do that, then you do that job. All right, Paul, I'm getting your question. You're saying, how do you handle a situation where the line manager downplays or gives poor appraisal review on the performance of his subordinate in order to cover up his sharp practices? Paul, this can be demotivating. I can totally relate. And here I'm going to mention that, firstly, that as HR human resource practitioners, human resource managers, we need to understand that our work is about making a difference. So we cannot continue to turn the blind eye. Sometimes we may need to have some conversations, HR managers, with these team leads on this. I mean, there are a lot of, and I see that there are a lot of times that the organization will have a particular management system, appraisal system in place where you can give feedback, where you can, after your boss has rated you can also comment on whether that rating is fair or not, and then give us reasons. I've seen cases where employees give these reasons. They even put attachment to say, these are the reasons why these are my ratings, these are the reasons, and it's not addressed. Why? Because maybe HR is so busy, the HR personnel is so busy, professional is so busy, and has not had time to look at the back and to analyze this report. So let me get back to your question, Paul. So you're saying, how do you handle the situation where this person is giving you a poor appraisal? Now, it's two ways. There's also the other way. So can you have a conversation with your manager, with your line to know the areas where you need to improve? So I remember there was a time one of my managers gave me an unfavorable rating, like you did. So, well, I didn't go to fight him. I asked for a meeting, and my question was around the role. It wasn't just me. It wasn't like, how can I? So I suggest that when you're having a conversation with this line manager, you ask him, whether it's first name, whether it's sir, whatever it is, however you want to appellation you want to give him. Ask him how this role, what are his expectations for this role? Don't say, what are your expectations for me? So if, for example, you are an HR officer and your HR manager is managing you down because, I missed that part, sharp practices. So, but ask him that this role, what is required? What are your expectations for this role? And there's a truth that I've seen play out over the years in career. It is that even though someone is trying to put you down, if you're consistently doing your work, consistently adding value, consistently having positive relationships, investing in relationships at the workplace, there's no how you will outshine. However, if the worst comes to the worst and you need to move on, I mean, it's fine. You're not a tree. Okay, so I hope that helps, Paul. So Ayola says, and HR coordinator who reports directly to the head of HR, but sometimes would need to face them directly. I do not understand that. Is that like, I'm trying to understand if that was part of the question. Please do let me know. Thank you, Tina. You say great presentation. Busola, thank you very much. Insightful session. Thank you. Funke says this has been insightful. Came a bit late. It's fine. Thank you for coming. Whether you can get the slides, we'll have to speak with Mr. Yemi on if you can get the slides or not. Okay, I get that. I have another question here from Tina. And you say, what do you do in a situation whereby your boss sidelines you and does your job, hiring without your knowledge, and only comes to inform about it for documentation process? So what I'm going to tell you, Tina, is, Tina, be steps ahead with your boss. Stop playing small. Step up in your work. And this is what I mean. If you consistently add value, I know what you're saying, and I'm not saying this to say, oh, you're not adding value. No. But I'm saying this because today we're talking about optimizing performance at the workplace. There's a way you optimize your performance that nobody can push you aside, because your line head will know that if this girl does not hire someone for me, I'm in trouble. She has a keen eye. Once your line head knows that Tina has a keen eye, she knows, she just has, I don't know how that girl does it. Somebody can be looking all put together, can be speaking Queen's English, can even cross all the I's and dot all the I's and cross all the T's of recruitment requirements. But this girl, once she just has a way, she just ask one question and everything will just come to light. And then we're able to get people for our clients. What your boss is looking out for is results. So I'm just going to ask you to step up your game. Don't be bothered. Don't take it personal that the person is sidelining you. Sometimes it's that person's way of dealing with the situation. If your line head feels that you cannot deliver the kind of value that he or she wants, unfortunately, it can be like, I beg, go and be doing something else. Just type the document. Let me do this recruitment. Because the last time you did it, the client almost got fired. Don't worry. Do you want to be typing? You want to be doing administration? Go and do administration. Let me do this recruitment. So that's why I'm saying, Tina, that you need to step up. I'll share this experience. So I've worked in different sectors. I think about 3 or 4 sectors in about over 10 years of my work experience. And I get tested each time I get into each sector. And this is what I've found. I'll share with you, having the hope that you will learn from this. So I got into the sector. The first time I got into this sector, market research sector, I was new. I had no idea what they were doing. But because of my experience managing people and managing resources, and then of course I was able to convince the recruiters, the panel, I got hired. However, when the rubber met the road, when it was time for me to start working as a project manager, I was meeting with some challenges. People were hoarding information, hoarding knowledge from me. Do you know why? They were doing that because they did not believe I could deliver. I would ask for documents, I'll ask for one thing or the other. They would totally sideline me until I started learning everything. So this was what I did. I would ask each of the teams I was dealing with, I would ask them, what exactly do you need me to do for this project to be successful? So for example, if you're a project holder and I am your project manager, I'll work with you from the beginning of the project. I'll ask you what your client needed. That was it for me. I won't sit down and be saying, before, the project managers who used to work with them they'll just pass the documents or give the information, go and buy this, go and meet this, we need this. So I was asking questions. How can we make this client happy? What do you need me to do? I was stooping low. I was learning. I was I was learning, I was spongy. I was spongy, learning everything. So I learned so quickly because I was very spongy. I was mopping up information, asking people questions. Whenever I did a task, I'll go to them and say, how was that task? How was my performance on that job? Do you think I need to improve? How was that recruitment? Do you think that recruitment could have been better? And I was ready to get the bad feedback, like bad reviews. And I was getting them in some cases. Lara, that thing was rubbish. You need to improve on that. I was getting the feedbacks and working on them. So I'm going to ask you, Tina, to do the same. I did it so much that I learned in a very short while. And for your information, at the time, I was even the only female project manager ever in that department. So imagine all other project managers in the business were all male. I was the only female in the market, in Nigerian market at the time. So imagine the challenge that I had to go through. But eventually, after a while, I became sought after. Before, there were some meetings that would be taking place. They won't call me. After a while, if I was in another meeting, they will reschedule the meeting or will ensure that that meeting will suit my timing. You know why, Tina? Because they now saw that I had value. So if your boss is hiring without your knowledge, what you need to do, get online and learn all you can about hiring. How can I hire the best clients? Spend some time on YouTube, learn it, learn the points. What are the things I should look for? Have conversations with your boss. Sir, how do you think I can improve on my hiring process? Some of us are not ready for the conversations. We're not ready for the bitter truth, yet we just want to be fine. We want to be told the good things. That will not work. When you're optimizing work performance, you should be ready to get the bad feedbacks, the bad reviews, the not so good ones. You should be ready. It's not every time, oh, you're wonderful. Yeah, the performance was nice. Sometimes you get the ones that are not good and you should be ready for it. You should be ready for it. All right, so I think that helps. Yeah, Shayi is also saying, up your game, add value, prove your worth. All right, thank you, Miriam. You're saying that it was incredible and insightful. Thank you. This is very insightful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I hope I've taken everyone's question. At this moment, we've spent an hour and about 12 minutes. All right. So, thank you very much. I'm glad the session was insightful for you. Thank you for coming online. Do you have questions? Any questions for me before I go? Please go ahead about questions about this topic, about optimizing your performance at the workplace. Do you have questions for me? Please go ahead before we round off. Okay, so Bola, in that case, there are no questions. So Bola Joko, or is this Stephanie?
Okay, good evening. Thank you.
Thank
you
for
the presentation. We are truly grateful. It was indeed insightful. I'm sure we've all learned a couple of things. Thank you. So of course the recording section will be made available as soon as time. So we'll call it a night today. Thank you for everyone that joined us.